The buzz around Angel Reese's departure from Chicago Sky took an unexpected turn, and it's one that's hard to ignore. For those unfamiliar, Angel Reese is a name that resonates strongly in women's basketball circles. She's not just another athlete, she's a force, a personality, and someone who knows how to keep eyes glued to every move she makes on and off the court. But when Reese was suddenly let go by the Chicago Sky, it raised more than a few eyebrows, especially when she hinted at a dark secret that hadn't yet made its way into the light. But before we proceed further, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. Angel Reese's firing wasn't the typical news that just fades out with time. No, it was a headline that stuck, and for good reason. Reese isn't exactly known for taking things lying down. She's the type to speak up, especially if she feels things are off kilter, and in this case, she wasn't going quietly. Social media went wild when Reese took to her platforms and let it slip that there were bigger forces at play behind her departure. While it was initially chalked up to a clash of personalities or an ordinary disagreement, the moment she mentioned a dark secret, fans and analysts started combing through every detail to piece together what might be going on. Chicago Sky's management was quick to release the standard PR response, something about differences in vision and direction. They kept it clean, almost too clean. There was something in their word choice that felt like it was crafted to bury the story, rather than address it head-on. But Reese's comments threw a wrench into that plan. She hinted at systemic issues, power struggles, and even went as far as implying that what went down was bigger than her role on the court. If anyone expected her to stay mum and ride off into the sunset, well, they clearly haven't met Angel Reese. Now it's essential to understand a bit about Reese's personality to grasp why her departure isn't just another sports story. She isn't someone who plays by the unspoken rules. Reese is loud, but not just in the literal sense. Her style, her interviews, even her post-game celebrations, they'd all scream confidence and a readiness to challenge the status quo. She doesn't just dribble past defenders. She confronts uncomfortable situations head-on, whether it's on a podcast on Twitter or with a well-placed Instagram story. So when she hinted at something dark, it was clear she wasn't bluffing or being vague for the sake of it. In the aftermath of her firing, Reese decided to take things a step further. Rather than sit on her hands, she dropped subtle but impactful pieces of information, almost like a trail of breadcrumbs. Reese didn't throw out accusations blindly. She knew how to keep everyone hanging on every word, without giving it all away at once. It was strategic. She made it clear that something within the Chicago Sky organization was festering beneath the surface. It wasn't just about disagreements on court strategy or practice schedules. Reese alluded to something bigger, perhaps a deep-seated issue within the organization's leadership. The locker room is often described as a tight-knit family, but Reese suggested that her family had some cracks. She let on that there was a lack of transparency, and decisions were being made in back rooms with little input from the players. Reese didn't stop there, though. She hinted that certain individuals were trying to maintain a status quo that wasn't just outdated but potentially harmful. She didn't call out names directly, but she came pretty close, leaving fans and insiders to draw their own conclusions. One of the things that makes this whole situation even more compelling is Reese's demeanor throughout it all. She wasn't visibly angry or bitter. She was almost matter-of-fact, with a tinge of sarcasm that only those who follow her closely would recognize. Reese has this knack for using humor to soften the blow of whatever bombshell she's dropping. During a live stream, she casually mentioned how some folks just can't handle a woman who doesn't just play ball, but calls the shots too. It got laughs, but the undertone was serious. As the whispers continued to grow louder, so did the speculation about what Reese was hinting at. A lot of fans and insiders started revisiting past moments, trying to piece together interactions and decisions that might have foreshadowed this fallout. Analysts dug up old interviews and scrutinized the body language between Reese and certain team executives. There were awkward press conferences, off-the-cuff remarks, and tense moments during games that suddenly seemed to mean more in hindsight. But let's talk about the reaction from the Chicago Sky's camp. They tried to downplay it all, but you could almost see the sweat on their brows. Reese's revelations didn't just paint a picture of a disgruntled athlete looking for attention. They alluded to a larger dysfunction. The team's official statements remained polished, but it felt like someone was scrambling to keep the ship from sinking. Reese's calmness contrasted sharply with the carefully worded panic coming from the Sky's management, and it didn't go unnoticed by the public. Despite the tension, Reese found ways to inject humor and a sense of calm into the chaos. Even as she danced around the specifics, her tone was light, almost playful. It was as if she was telling everyone, "There's more to come," without outright saying it. It was smart. She kept her cards close to her chest, but showed just enough to keep people invested. Angel Reese knew how to turn an uncomfortable situation into something that felt like a cliffhanger in a movie, and everyone was left waiting for the next scene. There were rumors circulating that the friction had to do with Reese pushing for changes within the team's culture. Some even speculated that she was advocating for more input on decisions that went beyond the court, possibly clashing with some old-school executives who weren't keen on sharing the reins. Reese's critics claimed she was overstepping her role, but her supporters argued she was simply trying to steer the team in a better direction. And considering Reese's popularity and influence, it wasn't surprising that people were divided on whether she was a troublemaker or a truth-teller. With the secret still unrevealed, media outlets were having a field day and fans were split. Some believed Reese's claims hinted at a serious problem within the Chicago Sky, while others thought she was overdramatizing her departure to save face. But regardless of which side people landed on, one thing was clear. Angel Reese wasn't going to be silenced. Her calculated hints and strategic pauses kept everyone guessing, and that only intensified the drama surrounding her exit. It's worth noting that Reese's firing and her subsequent revelations came at a time when there's been growing scrutiny of leadership within sports organizations, particularly in how they handle power dynamics and player relationships. Reese's subtle but impactful comments tapped into that ongoing conversation. She painted a picture of a power struggle, a clash between the new wave of athletes and the old guard, holding on to outdated methods. Her departure and the surrounding drama weren't just about basketball. They reflected broader tensions in sports culture today. For Angel Reese, this wasn't just about getting fired. It was about taking control of the narrative. Reese has always been a master at making her voice heard, whether through a 20-point game or a single tweet. She isn't someone who would let others define her story, especially not when she felt there was something bigger at play. And while the Chicago Sky's official statements were crafted to make her exit seem like a simple parting of ways, Reese's actions and words suggested something far more complex. In the days following her departure, Reese kept up her steady stream of hints and half-reveals, building anticipation while still keeping a tight lid on the details. The longer she kept people waiting, the more intense the speculation became. It was clear that she had something up her sleeve, and fans were anxiously waiting for the moment she would drop the bombshell everyone knew was coming. Whether it was a tell-all interview or a detailed social media post, Reese was in no hurry, and she made it clear that the timing would be on her terms. Despite all this, Reese remained focused on the future, making it clear that being fired wasn't going to slow her down. In fact, she seemed more determined than ever to keep pushing boundaries and shaking things up. She threw shade in interviews, but with a smile that left everyone wondering what she knew that they didn't. It was almost comical how she danced around the details, like a cat toying with a mouse, but you couldn't help but be captivated by her approach. Angel Reese's departure from Chicago Sky and her subsequent revelations showcased not just her defiance but also her savvy understanding of the power of narrative. By leaving people wanting more, she controlled the story even in her absence. And while the secret she alluded to remained just that, a secret, it was enough to shake things up and put pressure on the Chicago Sky to address the elephant in the room. Reese turned her exit into a larger statement, proving once again that her influence extended far beyond the court. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more engaging content. We thrive on your feedback, so be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Until next time.